All right, continuing on with the birth operators, I want to show you birth intersections operator, which allows you to give birth to particles wherever two objects intersect. So I have this sphere rising up, and you can imagine this could be like a vehicle rising from under sand or snow. Definitely lots of possibilities. And I'll just say pick the sphere and pick the box, and you can see I'm giving birth to particles on the edges where they intersect. So I can select the sphere, go Alt X, and you can see wherever there's an intersection between the two, I'm giving birth to some particles. And then of course you can give some physics to these particles, turn them into sand or grains or dirt, and you can have like a building rising out of the ground. You can have all sorts of cool stuff happening, right? So just wanted you to know about this and have an idea of how it works. Next up, we have basically birth objects, which we talked about. Birth BRTs for mainly Krakatoa and stuff like that. Birth skeleton for trees. Now, birth spline, I want you to know about is like if I go under create splines and create a circle spline, then I can just do birth spline, pick the spline, and I'm giving birth to particles along the splines. So this is super helpful. We're gonna use this for the physics rope later in the course. Obviously, you can do necklaces, you can do paths. Then I want to show you birth surface. We basically already talked about how to give birth to particles along a surface. So again, I would pick the box here, and the birth surface will basically only give birth to particles on whatever you select. So right now it's vertices, so it's only on the corners. You can also say faces. And then you have birth voxels. So if I make another sphere here and I do birth voxels, pick this and then just hide selection, you can see that this is a way to rasterize basically and get that sort of Lego effect. So now that I've given birth to these voxels, I can go again under shape, add a shape operator, make it 3D, set this to cube, set the display to geometry, and I basically have that rasterized sort of Minecraft look. And then what you can do is start combining everything I've been showing you. So you could add that physics shape operator like I showed you earlier. And now this whole rasterized Minecraft cube will basically fall apart into individual cubes. Now it's sticking together right now, right? Because it's just sort of sitting on the ground. But if I go unhide by name, unhide sphere, we have a little bit of problem solving here. So I can just raise this up above the ground. And now I can sort of run the simulation, hide the selection again. And you see we have a rasterized sphere that's turned into a whole bunch of physics cubes. So super cool stuff with just a few operators. Again, I just want to remind you guys that this would have been nearly impossible to do in Max before TyFlow. So it's easy to take all this stuff for granted, but really this is on par with X particles, with a lot of Houdini, and you can do it with just a few clicks. So definitely play around with this, see what kind of cool stuff you can make. As for the birth voxels, you can reduce the voxel size, so you can make each cube smaller. So I can make this maybe just 3 centimeters, and I'm gonna get exponentially more cubes and more resolution. And it's starting to take a while to simulate, but it looks super cool, right? So this is pretty much it for the birth operators. Not gonna get into it much more. Maybe birth fluid we're gonna use with Phoenix FD later on in the course. But that's it, and I'll see you in the next lesson.